last Wednesday, the bishop signed the formal decree establishing one parish. And I've done some catechesis with the parishioners. You know, a church is a physical structure. A parish is a community of like-minded individuals who form a faith community. So on January 1st, 2020, at 12:01 a.m., the new parish of Transfiguration of the Lord will be created, established, and we will begin growing in faith and in hope. We've got a lot of work to do. We have three assemblies that will be studying three particular areas of our parish life, buildings and grounds, and the unification team or assembly identified leaders, parish leaders, who are good with that sort of things. Then the second group would be finance and administration, and the third would be pastoral needs of the community. Those three assemblies will be doing their work beginning in January. Some might end in 9 months, some might end in a year, some might take a little longer. We have a lot of buildings, we have a lot of property that is not being utilized. For example, the rectory on Church Street, the convent in back of St. Mary Church. So those are the things that we're going to focus on right now.
I'm sure you heard the rumors. Father Rodney's being brought to close a church here in North Attleboro. Do you understand? The church is not the physical building, but can you understand that the love people have for the church in which they receive their sacraments?
Of course. I mean, I'm a lifelong Catholic. I'm a cradle Catholic. My church of Notre Dame in Fall River burnt to the ground. My family built it.
That.
My family built it in the 1800s, and my uncle was actually the general contractor, and so we say we built it and burnt it for the renovation. But my church burnt. We rebuilt, and it closed about a year ago in August. And so, yes, I understand. I have actually emotionally dealt with that, and I know the impact. So I'm very sensitive to the needs, the spiritual attachment people have to a physical structure. But as St. Paul says, the church is living stones. It's not mortar, concrete, brick, and wood. It's living. It's something that is alive. And even though I'm very attentive to that, I don't know what the church in North Attleboro is going to look like 5, 10, 15 years from now. I just don't know. We have to evaluate and study that.
A lot of it depends on the parishioners themselves, the Catholics of North Attleboro and surrounding communities. If they come and support the churches, that need will never come.
That is true. That is true. You know, it's interesting, if you've followed any of church closings, which is always a very difficult thing. And we're not talking about church closings here in North Attleboro right now. You see people kind of reinvent their faith or reimagine their faith when their church is going to close. It's like, well, wait a minute, now is the time to worry about that. So I think it's a call to action so that people can understand that, look, I wish and I hope all three physical structures can stay open, but I don't know what the needs are right now. This church seats 650 people, and thanks be to God, because of the merging of the mass schedule, it's full. It's a nice thing to see. Actually, at all three parishes, at all three churches, we're seeing full churches.
The problems North Attleboro is facing, the Catholic Church in North Attleboro, they're not unique to North Attleboro. They're happening all over the diocese, all over the country. It seems as though the announcement that was made at Bishop Fian a couple weeks ago seems to be a win-win.
Well, as I said to our confirmation students last night, because I went over and just tried to explain to them what this means for them, which really doesn't mean much, is that there's strength in numbers. And, we're seeing an aging population. We have buildings that are aging. We see a decline. But we also see some growth. There are young families. On Sundays, for example, or on the weekends, I should say, I always invite the children forward for a blessing. And I think I had 35 kids, little kids, and that's good. But in terms of what we're trying to accomplish, it's strength in numbers. We're unifying a community of faith. I used the example at the Unification Assembly that took place on the 24th at Bishop Fian High School. We chose that because it's neutral ground. I didn't want to show any preferential treatment. But, I said, I was at St. Mark's, and I had just celebrated the 8 o'clock Mass on a Sunday morning. And I wasn't eavesdropping or anything, but there were these two ladies in back of me, excuse me, and they were having a conversation, and I recognized the two of them. One would identify themselves as a parishioner here at St. Mary's, and one would identify themselves as herself as a parishioner at Sacred Heart. And there they are at St. Mary's. And the conversation went something like this: I didn't know you were Catholic. And the other one said, well, I didn't know you were Catholic either. I only see you at Stop and Shop. Here we are, a Catholic community living in, a good-sized town, relatively small, but we don't even identify with our faith. And it's one thing to say, I'm from North Attleboro, but I think to be able to say, I'm also a Catholic, to know the community. And one of the things that I've seen, and obviously we went from 9 masses to 5 just because of a pre-shortage, we are seeing people just utilizing the 3 worship sites. So that's healthy, and that's what a Catholic community should be able to do.